Blessings, 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 everybody. Y'all come on in. Tag your friends, your family. Tag, tag everybody you know, because we got a hot one for y'all today. Welcome to Vested in Milwaukee. I am your host, Dr. David D. King, the next mayor of the city of Milwaukee. So I just want y'all to come on. First, let me get everything out of the way because we want to get to the nitty gritty. We want to get to the good stuff. First, let me say to Feed Spot, thank you, Feed Spot, for making our podcast number 9 in the state of Wisconsin as the best political podcast there is in the state of Wisconsin. So we're thankful to Feed Spot for taking us from number 10 to number 9. We're steady climbing. We're steady climbing. We have to get the information out that we can be a blessing to families. And I am grateful to be here today, you guys. Listen, I named this show MPS, Enough is Enough. And you guys are about to hear from a mama, from a mother. I like to say it like we used to say in the old days, mama. You're going to hear from a mama bear whose child was mistreated in school at MPS. And we're going to talk about her show, and we're even going to talk about setting up a protest. We're talking about making sure that her and her son get justice. So, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the mama bear that is going to tell us what's going on, Monica Webb. Welcome, Mama Bear. You got yourself muted. Let's see. Let me see if I can help unmute you.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go. I can hear you now.
Okay.
Welcome. So we're about to deal with MPS, and the show is called Enough is Enough. And when I heard your story, talking to you, driving home, I had to come to the studio. I had to do a show right away. We need to warn parents, but we also need to stir them up so we can get this fight going on. So why don't you, Monica, begin to tell the people what happened to your son?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Monica Webb. I came on here today because I wanted to let people know to pay attention what your kids come home and tell you. My son came home Thursday afternoon, afraid to go back to school Friday morning without one of his parents, due to the fact he had been telling us for a while that something about a dungeon in the school, and this is Thurston Woods that I'm speaking on. We kind of just like let it blow over, thinking, oh, that's just a scare tactic they were using. Um, until he said, Mama, but now when they put me in there, I know how to turn the light on, so I won't be scared no more. So that kind of raised my attention, and it, really enraged me at the time. Like, what? So, that morning, that Friday morning, his dad went up to the school to talk to the principal. The guy, and I'm going to name a name, Mr. Graham, was not at the school that day. So dad went up there to talk to the principal. The principal stated to dad, oh, no, no, no. That's just a scare tactic we use, just like we tell the kids we're going to take them on the third floor to the swimming pool area. So dad says, well, why would you tell my kids that you're going to take them to the third floor to the swimming pool area? If you tell my kids that you're taking them to a swimming pool area, they're going to want to swim. What are you doing? Telling the kids you're going to drown them. So, further into the discussion with my 7-year-old second grader at Thurston Woods, he tells us that Mr. Graham has been putting him in what's called the dungeon, which is originally a boiler room. It's labeled boiler room. And so I said, what? So then he said, well, Mama, and then they be trying to take our socks and shoes off. So I continued to talk to my son, and I asked him, I said, well, who all does they do that to? So my son started naming a couple of more little boys at the school. I contacted another parent, and she said no, she didn't know anything about it. But upon questioning her son, he said it happens to them, but he's scared to tell because he's going to get in trouble when he get home, because that's why they put them in a boiler in the dungeon, is because they're being bad at school. So I just want to let y'all know, hey, pay attention to your kids, because, hey, the kids do not be lying. These schools are a mess. The principal is trying to hide the fact that he's saying that he didn't know, he wasn't aware of it, but everybody knows that's not the truth. My son's dad said that when he talked to the principal, he's kind of loudmouth. So when he talked to the principal, all the other kids on the playground heard it, and they thought it was a commotion going on. So they started running up to them. And they started stating like, yeah, Mr. Graham, he do that. He do that. He put us in there. He put Christian in there all the time. So, we knew right then my son wasn't lying anyway. Also, that day I talked to my son again, and I said, well, Christian, Mr. Graham ain't your teacher. How do you come in contact with him? And he said, because my teacher, Miss Lucas, when I misbehave, she tells him, Christian, ready to go back to the dungeon, and things like that. So yeah, I just want, I need this to get out. I want everybody to pay attention to your kids, so the kids don't be coming home lying. Please, please, please talk to your children, especially if they attend Thurston Woods.
So we have a second grader that, if he misbehaves, is sent to a gentleman by the name of Mr. Graham, and he puts him in the dungeon, which is the boiler room. And wasn't it that they take his socks and his shoes?
Yes. He said that. He said, Mama, he be trying to take my socks and my shoes. And then I'm like, what? It's just, it blew me. It really blew me. I was so emotional that night. It really blew me.
And wasn't you told by, I believe it was the superintendent, not to go on Facebook with this story?
Yes. He told me as we were leaving the school board meeting, Eduardo Galvin, I believe. Yeah, that's his name, because he gave me his card. He said, could you kind of refrain from putting it on social media, and just, he didn't want it to get out. He wanted to keep quiet. But me, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because I can't be quiet. This is my child that y'all doing this to, and I'm sure that, and along with other kids, but I'm sure that the few children that came forward are not the only ones that this has been done to. I have a 14-year-old daughter that attends that school. She told me last year. Now, my son has brought this to me this year, but she told me last year he was also doing this to kids and doing it to my son. She said she would see my son in the hallway with him, and my son would be screaming and hollering and saying, Zaria, don't let him take me. Don't let him take me to the dungeon. So she said she asked him, Where you taking him to? He waved her off. I'm just taking him back to his class. As if that he's saying the dungeon just to scare the kids.
So this is Thurston Woods, right?
This is Thurston Woods, 35th and Thurston.
35th and 35th and Flores. They have this dungeon. Now, see, here's where I have a problem. If your son was lying, the principal should have let the father in and say, show me where the dungeon is. But they're keeping parents out of the schools because they don't really want parents to know what's going on in the schools. And Correct. This is where, as parents, we have to say enough is enough. As parents, we have to take the steering wheel back. We have to make sure that things are happening because that is mental child abuse. That can scar your son for life.
He can't sleep. He do not want to sleep alone. He has an appointment tomorrow to see his therapist and also his doctor. So he's really afraid, and it really shocked me because my son, I know how his behavior is. It takes a lot to scare him. So I don't know what he did this particular day that scared him like that for him to come home and actually tell. So,
So parents, cousins, grandparents, if anybody that's watching, and I'm asking you guys to share, because it's already on LinkedIn, it's already on Twitter, it's already on YouTube, but I want you guys to share this, but I also want you to say, do I have a family member who attend Thurston Marshall? Am I saying the name? Thurston Woods. Mm-hmm. Do I have a family member that's from the 3rd grade on down? And let me ask them about, have they ever heard the word dungeon? And if they have, you ought to ask them, have you ever been to the dungeon? And this is no way to help a child, no matter what condition the child is in, is to put them in a dungeon or the broiler room, and to the fact where you trying to force them to behave. You know what? It sounded like a babysitter that would torture your children. We do not send our kids to school to be tortured. We send them to school to learn. And
Absolutely.
So for the principal to brush it off, for the superintendent to brush it off and say, don't go to Facebook, don't go to social media right now. We don't want this to get out, because why? Once this get out, now every school, parents, please talk to your kids. Some schools have what's called a transition closet, where they allow the kids to go in there and change their sex and come out. And this is how they do it. They will say, Superman, Clark Kent. They'll say Clark Kent is not who he really is. So he goes in the phone booth and he comes out as Superman. That's who he really is. So we want y'all to go in the closet and come out what you really are. And some teachers, one teacher for 4th graders was, if they came out as a different sex or different gender or non-binary, they gave them a LBGTQ cupcake, the rainbow cupcake. But if the child that was a girl came out just a normal girl, they didn't get anything. And so they are messing mentally with our children's mind. We got people responding already. Let's see what they're saying. Not to mention in case of a fire or emergency. Exactly. Somebody said, what? Somebody says kids should not be left alone in a separate room to begin with. Right. They should not be taking any child to any, especially a dark room, because you know what goes through a child's head in a dark room: a monster, a spider.
And he is so afraid. He is. And I never seen him like this.
A rat. So Monica, tell me, what is it that you want to do?
I need everybody that's involved, I need them to be removed from the school. If not, the school can be shut down. I mean, this is ridiculous. Just the, the things I want to say I can't. It's just it's sad. You don't
It
do no
is.
child like that.
So
They
have
all need to
any
be fired. They need to be fired. And yes, I'm willing to do a protest. And this ain't stopping here.
so let me ask you this. Have any school board member reached out to you?
No, absolutely not. But it's just crazy because one of the other parents that I reached out to, and I know that and she came and said, "Yeah, my son said the same thing." Okay, they reached out to her, but I believe that was after I contacted Fox 6 News, and Fox 6 contacted them, letting them know that they were contacted by me. So they're not going to reach out to me. They're not even going to talk to me. When I call the school, the phone conversation is like, hold on, and I'm on hold for maybe 2 to 3 whole minutes. I think there'd be, oh well, this is his mom on the phone, so I don't know, but it's wild. But I'm not stopping here. This is gonna keep going, and it's gonna go. It's not. And then he asked me, he said, "Are you taking the kids out of school?" I told him no. I'm not
Because
taking
see, if you
I'm
take
not
the
taking them out. We're
if
not
you
running
take
from the
them out of
problem.
the
We're gonna fix it.
school, right? If you take them out the school, then they feel the problem is solved. Then
Exactly.
we just got to be a little careful on how we do things now. And
Right.
so I think the protest uh, will be great. You know, praying for you and your baby.
Thank you.
I think what we should do is that if they're thinking they should let you and your husband in the building, they should say, okay, prove to us that there's a room that they take them to. And every school board member that was at that meeting that you went to, if they didn't contact you, this is why I tell moms and dads, y'all should decide to run for school board. Because if it's happening there, it's happening everywhere.
That's
You,
right.
black children are the highest that get suspended in MPS. So I believe that it's time that parents rise up. I think it's time that we just look at it. And here's the thing, what they won't tell you. Do you know why most children are misbehaving in school? It's not that they all is on ADHD. It's not that they all are too hyper. They are bored because they're not being taught.
Hmm.
They are bored. And so anytime you make a child, now as a child, I wasn't ADHD, but if I'm bored, I'm gonna get into some stuff. I'm going to cause problems. I know me. I'm going to
Yes.
say some things that I shouldn't say. I'm gonna do some things that I know I shouldn't do because why? I'm bored. So I get myself into things. And so they're not teaching the children, so they're being bored. I believe that Mr. Graham should be fired and charges brought against him. I believe that the teacher who sent them to Mr. Graham should be charged and fired, and the principal because they didn't do anything. Don't give me that. Well, we follow protocol. No, you did not.
Right.
You did not because parents. Let me say this. Parents should demand free access back into the schools. Don't give me that COVID crap. Don't give me that safety crap. Parents should have access to go and come into the schools as much as they want, whenever they want. Our parents did it. Our parents
Yeah.
will pop up. And you could be in the midst of clowning and your
Oh,
parents
yeah.
just walk in on you.
Yep.
Our parents should have the right because why? It's our taxpayers' money, right? We
Correct.
should have access to the schools so we would know exactly what is going on. And the sad part about it is parents don't have that access no more.
Nope.
And so I believe that we should expose this. If you have a child in Thurston Woods on 35th and Thurston, Thurman Woods, right?
Thurston Woods, 35th and Flores.
Thurston Woods, 35th and Flores. If you have a child at that school from third grade on down, you need to ask them about the dungeon. That's the code word, dungeon. You need to know, ask your child, ask your grandchild, your niece, your nephew, have you ever been to the dungeon? I guarantee you, if 2 children have already said they've been to that dungeon, 3 children that already said they've been in that dungeon, more children been in that dungeon. And it is time for us to rise up and say, you know what? We need access to every school. We're demanding it. But here's the beauty of it, though. In February, the school board members. Hi. Hey, how you doing? Is that him?
Yeah, this is Christian.
Can I ask him a question?
You sure can.
Hey, Kristen, how you doing?
Good.
Can you tell me about the dungeon?
What does it look like in the dungeon?
It's dark.
Kristen, don't be scared. I got your back. I'm helping you, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me something. Who put you in the dungeon?
Mr. Graham.
Mr. Graham? Who caused Mr. Graham to put you in the dungeon?
Ms. Lucas.
How many times you been in the dungeon? 3 times?
He's saying 2, but it's been numerous amount of times. He's given us different numbers. It's been a lot of times.
Okay. Kristen, was Mr. Graham at school today?
No.
Was he at school Friday?
I don't know.
So you didn't see him? Okay.
Was Miss Lucas at school today?
What did Miss Lucas say to you today? What did Miss Lucas say to you today?
Did she say anything to you today?
She told him. When she told him.
What did she say? Did Miss Lucas talk to you today? No.
She didn't say nothing to you about the dungeon today?
No.
Did the principal say something to you about the dungeon today?
Did the principal talk to you about the dungeon?
No.
So they didn't talk to you at all today, right? Okay. Hey, Kristen, how many people in your classroom been in the dungeon?
Jamaica.
Who?
Jamaica.
And who else? What's the other kids' names?
That's it.
What about Makai? Oh, you don't know?
Okay, so Jamaica? Is that a boy?
Yep, that's a boy.
And he been to the dungeon too? Y'all went together or by yourself?
By myself.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, go upstairs. Shut that door, honey.
So we really have to get on this. We have to I ask everybody to share this video. We'll keep you guys posted. We are going to do a protest in front of the school. We are going to demand that they let the parents in that school so he can show them where the dungeon is. So we know that the story is legit, even though we know it's legit, but the parents need to know. And then we're going to work on making sure parents have access to the schools so they can check on their children. They always holler, parents, get your kids, parents, get your kids. But,
right.
But they won't give you access to the school to get your kids.
Correct.
So, I think that we really have to really get involved in this. Channel 6 is going to do a story on this. Any community activist that says they for our children and you want to be involved in the protest, give us a call. Let us know.
Shut that door.
Let us know, and we are going to make sure that we let you know when we're gonna be at that school, because we need answers. We need things to be done. Uh, Let me ask you this: have you went to the police and pressed charges on Mr. Graham?
I have not pressed charges, but I did make a report.
Okay, I think you need to press charges. I
Okay.
think that will make the school board do something.
And even
Be-
with the teacher, she's still there. And I mean, Mr. Graham wouldn't have did it without her, you know.
right. And
So
I know the principal them know. You can't tell me something is going on in that school and you don't know.
exactly.
And
All
I
the
know they
teachers
should
know.
have cameras in the hallway. So, yeah, I think, everything we need to do to put pressure, I think we need to do that to put pressure on MPS. They're already not educating our children. They're already not teaching, not using the money right, because they get money. They just not using it right.
Mm-hmm.
And so our kids are steady suffering. We have to come together as a community, as a village, to make sure our children are getting the proper education, that they are safe not only at home but they're safe at school. If Can you imagine you at work wondering, is my kid in the dungeon?
Huh.
That's messed all the way up.
It
And
is.
so we need to really take a look. We need to make sure if your child is at Thurston Woods on 35th and Flores, you need to have that conversation. You need to ask that question. Is my child, or has my child been in the dungeon? Because this is something that you guys got to really take serious. And you need to ask all the children. Don't ask them what you do in class. You need to start asking them, what kind of conversations have we having in school? And you will find out that they're having some conversations that you would not be approved of. And so I just wanted to thank Miss Webb for coming on and sharing her story. We're definitely Vested in Milwaukee is going to be involved. I thank my crazy friend James Macon for telling me about it, because he know me. I'm a fighter and I love fighting for what's right. So we're grateful. Any last words, Miss Webb, you want to say to the people?
Again, just check with your kids, make sure that they okay at school. You know, just ask them. Even if they've been bad at school that day, just ask them. Hey, I know you've been showing out at school, but what was the punishment for that? Because we just think, oh yeah, you was showing out at school and that was just it. But no, they are really torturing these kids mentally at school.
All right, you guys, this is a mama that's on the warpath right now. And for the rest of you moms, we need to do it. And if you got a story that is dealing with your children and dealing with what they're going through in school, just send me an inbox. My number's on the line. Call me. We'll put that story out there. We will fight for your children. That's what it's all about. Fighting for the children. We will fight for your children. So I just want to thank everybody. I'm not trying to do a long show. I need this to get out. We need to do some things on the behalf of the children. So as we get ready to go off, I'm gonna ask you, Miss Webb, don't disconnect yet, okay?
Okay.
I'm gonna close the line and then we'll come back on and talk. All right?
Okay.
So everybody, I just want y'all to know this is about the babies, you guys. We gotta stop sitting on the sideline. We gotta stop letting them get away with stuff that we know is wrong. We got to stop allowing them to mismanage money at MPS. We got to stop allowing them to mentally mess with our children, physically mess with our children. We don't even know if they're going to come home or not, right, because of the way they being mistreated in the schools. And nobody is held accountable. The superintendent, school board members. In February, you can get rid of some of those school board members, get them out of here. But we have to make that decision that we want better for our children. And parents, on November 18th and 19th, November 17th and 18th, I will be posting where we're going to show you what else they're doing to our children in the public schools, not only in MPS, but across this whole country. And it is time for parents to rise up and fight for your children. This is Dr. David D. King, the next mayor of the city of Milwaukee. Until next time, God bless.